Right there. Now let's dig deeper back into our conversation. And tonight we've been talking about women and political leadership in Africa. And let me bring back Nerea, who's actually been following from a distance. Nerea, before we actually took the break, we were looking at some of the hindrances we've had about why, with Maureen giving us perspective as to how women end up not supporting fellow women. We heard from Natalie, who's in Jamaica. She's also vying for a political position. She mentioned an array of issues that are putting women on their side as far as political leadership is concerned. Back here in Kenya, Nerea, you and I know that we have had political candidates for the top job who were women. We have had Charity Ngilu, who's now the governor of Kitui, and of course we've also had Martha Karua, who has her own political party, and both of them never won the presidency. You, as a woman, why is it that you think they never actually made it to become president of Kenya at the points where they vied for this particular big job?
Very, very interesting, Eugene. I'll give you my very personal and objective opinion.
Sure.
Number one, on Martha Karua, I have always believed that she's a good politician, she's a strong politician, but she also tried to conform to the notion and perception of what is ideal in a politician. So she tried to be much, she tried to be aggressive, she tried to be forward so that she could match the energy of the male politicians. And that in itself is what causes failure in women, because essentially women are not wired with that level of aggression that men come with into politics. And so she was not very comfortable in being a woman, you know, having that demeanor of a woman and still being able to sell her agenda. And so for me, that's quite objective. And number two, when I looked at Charity Ngilu, at that point in time, the vehicle that Governor Charity Ngilu used at that point did not resonate with Kenyans. And at that time, I don't believe Kenyans already had enough of this conversation about what is it that they see in that woman who is a leader, and not just talking about, oh, elect me because I'm a woman. I think the messaging around that time was not accurate. And so I bring you back to what we did and achieved on this president. Critical. We needed Kenyans to see that you can have women, they can be leaders and bring a feminine touch. The feminine touch is important for women. That is one thing that we keep forgetting. That is one thing that women leaders globally are doing in their response to COVID. And so we are looking at women at different, but they are capable, and they're leaders who are able to handle crises. They are leaders who are able to show the male counterpart that they can succeed where the men are failed in terms of crisis management. Right. And so even looking at Miss President, I can tell you for one thing, competing women is not as easy as it's made out to be. Because people think that when you're competing women, then we are all very nice and we are all very kind and we are friends. We are much better performers. So women are able to have better political strategy. And so the reason why Kenya, I a whole process of trying to win against women. And I can tell you that I came out a very different woman. I came out a woman that will vote for a woman in the next election, because I have seen that women, despite the fact that they have all these odds, when a woman decides to go for a political seat, then that woman will go for it. I come from a county where we have 8 constituencies, and we have 3 women elected members, single constituency seats. And I can tell you it's the willpower to do it. And if you look at the voting population, what is it about men that makes them vote for women? I will tell you from my Kenyan experience. If the men see that you're a woman who will stay the course, if the men see that you're a woman who is able to withstand the pressure, if the men see that you're a woman who has your man or other men from the family behind, then you getting elected. Men do not want to elect a woman who thinks that she can cry about undergoing the pressure of election.
Right.
Women have done it. So if there is no seat for you at the table, then you bring your seat as a woman.
You bring your seat as a woman, Nerea. There's something interesting you mentioned, Nerea, before we even go too far, and I want to bring in also Natalie on this. You mentioned that one of the women presidential candidates here in Kenya, who you say did not manage to actually clinch the presidency, was partly because of what you say she did not, or she does not express the demeanor of a woman. I would like you to just clarify what that really means. What would be the demeanor of a woman that you'd like to see in a woman who's vying for political seat?
It simply means, Eugene, that if I am a woman presidential, then what I should not do is to behave aggressively, adopt a macho attitude, because other people to see that I am strong enough. I should be a woman that is comfortable coming in with empathy. That is number one. I should be a woman that is even risk averse. Because the risks that are involved in making political decisions are many, but people will see that woman nurtures a family, and therefore a woman is nurturing a nation. You cannot compete on the same level. And that is mistakes that I have made. I thought that louder than the men. I thought that fighting physically like the men to get me elected. No, that's not happening. Because other people are seeing you as a threat to the ego. And if you want to get elected by men, then the only thing you should not touch is the ego. So to me, it's clear cut. You go into a race acknowledging that, number one, you are not a man. Number two, you want to compete on an equal footing. And number three, your electorate, as you interact with them, will get to understand how you are able to kind of sell your policies, how you are able to respond to attacks from the men.
Perfect.
Not necessarily the woman.
Natalie, when you sit there listening to that explanation, as a person who's vying yourself as a woman, are these things that Nerea mentions, are these things that you would conform to for you to be elected as you contest against men?
Yes, and the funny thing, in my seat, I'm contesting against another woman.
Okay.
And in Jamaica's parliament, we only have 12 of 63 females in the House. So we have 63 seats and only 12 are filled by women. Now, what she just said mirrors a lot of what I said earlier, that Shaini Robinson, the recently passed Minister of Government, she kept her womanhood throughout and she was highly successful. But I think what it is accepting who you are as an individual and not trying to change that for the political scenario.
What if she's aggressive? What if you're aggressive in your nature? What if you have this strong aura that moves with you, and that is your nature? Should you be judged and told, you know what, you are not reacting as a woman, and so you're pushing a certain level of aggressiveness as if you want to actually portray that you are a man?
I don't think anyone has to change who they are, because even though in my mind a part of the problem has been women trying to be more masculine in their approach, I think if you're naturally like that, people will pick it up. So I think the focus should more be on being naturally who you are, and that will come across the voters. Do not try to be something that is not in your nature, because people pick up after a while when you're being pretentious.
Right, but
I think society requires us women to shift who we are according to the tides or what we think people need or what is asked. But I think we need to just genuinely be ourselves.
Yeah, let's talk about the nature of our political parties. Of course, we understand that for you to vie, in many cases, you have to actually belong to a certain political party. And we have seen the nature of most African political parties. Majority of them are actually anchored on the principle of that particular party. I mean, the party leader. And so if you don't dance to the tunes of the party leader, then you are most likely not to actually get a ticket, or there's some strings that sometimes are usually pulled and other people get these particular tickets. Talk to me a bit about how challenging this is for a majority of women who want to vie for political positions, and probably they have different ideologies from the party leadership or the nature of those particular political parties. Maureen, I'm told you're back on. Just talk to us a bit about that, and then we'll engage the rest of the panelists. I think we've lost her again. Natalie, you want to jump in on that, and then we bring
Yes,
in...
I would love to. I would love to, absolutely. No, firstly, I am fortunate enough to have a party leader who is relatively young and who I've known from John was a boy, as we say here in Jamaica, from a long time ago. And so I don't have that difficulty in my situation, but I see it right across the board. But it's no different from any other entity. If you're a part of an organization, whether it is your PTA, whether it is your citizens association, or it is a multilateral company, there are times when you are going to have to toe the corporate line. It's not just for politicians. So it's the same way as a woman going to look at job with, for example, Nike, and she doesn't believe in the philosophy of Nike, but she really wants the job. She's going to have to toe the Nike line. It's the same way as if you're working for a tobacco company, but you're not really for tobacco. Then you shouldn't go there. So I don't think it is something specific to politics. Whether or not you agree with your party line, then you should not go to that party if you don't believe in your leader of the party, and you don't, because reality of life is political parties in developing nations are leader-centric. If that is not for you at this point in time, then stay out of politics. And then you should go with a party that is in line with what you believe in. As I said, it's the same way if you're in the private sector. You cannot be a part of an entity that you don't believe in what they're doing. That is a recipe for trouble.
Right. Maureen, I'm told Maureen is back. Before we bring Nerea to share her thoughts on that particular same question. Maureen, we are talking about political parties and the difficulties that women go through to actually get the party ticket when it comes to vying for top jobs. Talk to me about how challenging or how easy it has been for women to actually, vie for office or seek to vie for office, and the challenges they face to pick a political party that they need to use for this particular cause.
Okay, thank you very much, Eugene. First and foremost, I would like to cap what my co-panelists have mentioned about what women usually try to do when they are vying for political positions. I have a little different perspectives when it comes to that, and that is because in the political terrain, in the political realm, especially in the African nations, it will be better we are more of realists than idealists. Realist in the sense that you have to understand the political terrain and the demands of the political terrain to be able to succeed. So in the African Women Leadership Organization, for instance, our emphasis is on women getting well prepared and having the right education about the obligations of navigating through the process. So the thing is this. First and foremost, I talked about dealing with the issues from the roots. When I was talking about that, I was referring not only on the monetization aspect of the political process, I'm also looking at the family-unfriendly policies of our electoral process.
Yes.
So when a woman begins to do things that ordinarily he wouldn't do if he's not in the political terrain, it doesn't mean that the woman is trying to be like the man. It doesn't mean like the woman is trying to position herself to be masculine. It just means that the woman is trying to adapt to the realities of the situation.
Right.
For instance, in my country, and I would always like to talk briefly about my country because I have been in the system for a very long time, conducting researches, working for women, vying for political positions, looking at problems that constitute failures for women seeking for political positions. And what I have come to find out is this: the process itself is unfeminine. Because for you to actually even
against another.
Yes, for you to be able to secure that form and navigate through the process from one step to the other, there are basic requirements. There are basic calls on the candidature of that woman. For instance, what are the times that electoral meetings, the party meetings are held? In Nigeria, my country, and few other African countries that I had worked with, I see that they hold their meetings very late in the night. And ordinarily, no woman would like to step out of your house in the middle of the night to attend party meetings. And I can tell you, there are some of those meetings that when you don't attend, the decision will be taken and it will be drastic on your intention, on your political ambition, and sometimes even at the time they are going to remove you, they will remove you in those meetings. So what I'm saying is this: these things is a system, it's an ecosystem which I think needs to be sanitized before the African woman will find the freedom and the equity to participate on level field with the male counterpart. Now, back to what I wanted to say. Yes, it's difficult for the women. It's very difficult because of this thing I have pinpointed. And what we are saying is this: do not think that because you are a woman and you come to run for political office that the men will give you chance. No. So what we are telling the woman is you need to be prepared twice as much as the men. Haven't realized that this is the situation. Haven't realized that this is the terrain. You have to be prepared. You have to understand that is have the right education about the political sphere in your country, about the political culture in your country. Some many months back, like 2 or 3 months ago, a woman in my country, a woman political leader was born into ashes in her hometown. Because of politics. She was doing well. She had followers. She had people that she's leading. So, as I'm speaking in front of everyone here today, we have not seen the culprits, the people that committed this dastardly act, being paraded anywhere. There has not been cogent decision taken against these individuals. Yes, we hear that something is being done, but what exactly is being done? So what am I saying? If you are a woman, you are in that, you are in that terrain. If the men are employing security personnel, you to do so.
I think your point is clear, Maureen.
Vying for position, you put meeting in the middle of the night, you have to attend it at least until things changes. So you're just adapting and trying to be effective, and then result oriented in whatever thing you are pursuing at that point in time. So it's really. It's very difficult for the African woman to vie for political office because everything there is very unfriendly to the woman.
Very valid points, Maureen. Thank you so much for those particular points. It is now 24 minutes after 10 p.m. I don't want to be part of those who are actually calling for meetings and panel discussions this very, very late. Like Maureen says, some political parties across Africa are actually having certain rules like these ones that hinder most women from participating in some of those meetings. And therefore, I want us to take this conversation home. And I want to hear from you, Natalie. Where do we go from here? What sort of commitments should we be looking at? We're talking about sanitizing our hands. How do we sanitize our African politics to be able to allow for women to easily sail in? And if this particular journey will not be easy, are women or the women folk ready to get their hands dirty?
Well, I don't even think we should look at it as getting our hands dirty at all. What it is that we have to develop the courage to make the sacrifice, to do what we need to do to be a part, to get our seat at the table. We need not be afraid. We may not win on our first go, but we have to be willing to try again. So we need our family and friends to support us and to stand strong with us. And we need people who donate to political systems, to donate to the campaigns of female candidates as much as they do to male candidates, right? And then we have to be accountable and transparent with that process. And then the men in our lives, our husbands, our partners, need to be willing to help with the childcare and the management of the household, to give us the opportunity to be free to attend the meetings, whatever time they are, and to attend the PTAs. So it requires a lot of work from all people involved. And then if we find that we're not getting the support, we do what we have always done. We just get up like a phoenix and we just buck the system and we just fight and we carry the babies to Parliament with us on the campaign trail as much as we need to, and do what we have to do, because we can't sit and wait for it to happen for us.
We can't sit and wait.
We're going to have to go and take it.
Perfect.
No,
Perfect.
go and take it.
Perfect. Nerea, do you think that, of course, from the African cultural perspective, from what Natalie says, do you feel that African husbands are ready to actually take these children and take care of them as their wives go out on the campaign trail in this game that most people call a dirty game, that is politics? In your closing remarks.
Well, I can tell you, Eugene, my husband is gracious, and my husband has had my back ever since I went back to school when I had, 4 children. And so for over 10 years, he held everything down. And if my husband can do it, then for sure another woman husband will join that bandwagon, because we need that kind of home support. But that being said, let me make my final remarks in giving a way forward. I think the best vehicle to get women elected are the political parties. Because that is the only way a woman will gain enough solidarity in a movement to get to political office. And so I am a member of the Orange Democratic Movement Party in Kenya, and my party leader is on record as looking out for women leaders, and his record is quite exemplary. He has built more political careers for both men and women in this country than most other political party leaders. And I can tell you that even right now, I'm a beneficiary of a training program by the African Liberal Network, being supported by the Liberal Democrats in the UK, to build my capacity towards winning an election. So my political party is already engaging with me, and they're working with me and supporting me through the whole process, so that when we get to an election, that they are going to have a candidate who can win. I think also as women, we need to be able to tune ourselves to see, can we mold it into winning candidates, because no party would like to lose an election. And that's probably the reason why you don't get many of them giving women the tickets that they have in the party. So I think my opinion is, if you're a woman and you want to get into politics as a way forward, you need to jump in, and if you can't swim, you better figure out how to swim, because essentially politics is not easy. Politics requires you to be in there 100%. And politics requires a support system to be alongside you 100%. So there is no need for water, because the world needs 50% of its population at the decision making.
Perfect. Brilliant minds tonight on Africa 4-in-1. It was very deliberate for us to have an all-female panel, just to be able to get this from the horse's mouth. And you've been amazing, and I'm hoping that we'll still be able to talk more on leadership in Africa in the course of our lifetime here and the lifetime of Africa 4-in-1. Thank you very much for being a part of Africa 4-in-1 tonight. My panelists joining us from Nigeria, here in Kenya, and of course in Jamaica, Natalie, Maureen, and Nerea. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, sanitize, and keep safe. All right, now let's just read some feedback here. I see James Wanzala, who joined us on Twitter via the hashtag Africa411, who says Africans, especially males, should start to believe in women to lead, because leadership is not about gender but ability to deliver services and promises that one made during presidential campaigns. What a man can do, a woman can do it, and even better. James, thank you so much for that particular feedback. I want to say thank you for all those who've been watching us from far and wide. We'll talk again about Africa next week, same time, same place, right here on Africa 4-in-1. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.